My girlfriend said, "He's sweet but not in the same league." I replied, "What is different now?" Then I took an Uber home, let her text all night, sat through lunch while she rewrote the past, and when she pushed condos and a housewarming party, one question about being seen ended everything. Welcome back to WZ Tales. In today's story, a man learns his girlfriend only valued him after finding out he was wealthy. As you listen, notice the moment where you would have walked away. My girlfriend's friends laughed at me in the middle of her office Christmas party. One of them looked me up and down and said, "Why does he dress like a broke intern?" Valencia heard it. She did not defend me. She did not even look uncomfortable. She just stayed quiet and let them keep going. I smiled, took a sip of my drink, and said nothing. Sometimes silence tells you more than an argument ever could. A few seconds later, the man Valencia had been desperate to impress walked into the restaurant, spotted me across the room, and changed everything. But to explain why that moment mattered, I need to go back a little. My name is Kieran. I'm 32, and at the time I had been with Valencia for about a year and a half. We met through mutual friends in Seattle. She worked in social media marketing. At first, she seemed easygoing, funny, and real. She did not act impressed by money. She did not care about luxury restaurants. She was happy with cheap tacos, simple dates, and quiet nights in. That mattered to me more than she knew. 3 years before I met her, I sold my AI startup for enough money that I could live comfortably for the rest of my life. Later, I started building another company, and that was also going well. But I did not talk about my money. I did not flash it. I did not build my identity around it. I had reasons for that. When I was growing up, my dad made a lot of money in tech. After that, everything in my family changed. People started treating him differently. Friends became flatterers. Conversations became transactions. My mom started spending like money itself was proof of worth. By the time they divorced, I had seen what happens when people stop loving a person and start loving access to a lifestyle. That leaves a mark. So when I got my own exit, I made a choice. I kept my life simple. I stayed in my Capitol Hill apartment. I drove an old Subaru. I bought clothes from Target and thrift stores. I lived like a normal Seattle tech guy, doing fine but not flashy. I wanted to know who would choose me when they thought I was ordinary. For a while, I thought Valencia had. The first year felt easy. She never pushed me for expensive things. She seemed happy. We split costs. We made simple plans. I thought I had found someone who cared more about character than appearances. Then her friend group started getting louder. That was the first red flag. Not her friends by themselves, but how fast their values became her values. Valencia had 2 close friends who shaped the tone of everything. Thalia worked in investment banking and talked about money like it was a scoreboard. Mira was married to a surgeon and treated her marriage like a status symbol. Their conversations were always about who had the better apartment, the better boyfriend, the better trip, the better life. At first, Valencia rolled her eyes at them. Then she started echoing them. A few months before the Christmas party, she asked me why we never went anywhere nicer. She brought up Mira and her husband getting back from Napa. She said it like we were falling behind in some race I had never agreed to run. I told her we could afford nicer things sometimes if that was what she wanted. Money was not really the issue. She looked at me and said, "With what money? You work for some tiny consulting firm." That comment stuck with me, not because it was inaccurate, but because of how easily she had reduced me to what my life looked like from the outside. I let it go at the time. I should not have. This is where a lot of people stay too long. They hope the pattern means less than it does. Then came the Christmas party. Valencia's agency was holding it at a fancy restaurant in Belltown. On the Uber ride there, she looked tense. Before we got out, she turned to me and said, "Just try to fit in, okay? These people are important for my career." That should have been enough for me to walk away right there. We went in anyway. The place was exactly what I expected. Well-dressed people talking too loudly about bonuses, travel, promotions, and connections. Everyone seemed to be performing success more than enjoying the night. Valencia quickly drifted to her friends, and I followed because I was there to support her. Then Thalia looked at Valencia and said, loud enough for people nearby to hear, "God, when are you going to upgrade? My boyfriend just bought me a Cartier watch for Christmas." "What did Kieran get you, a Target gift card?" Valencia laughed. She actually laughed. Then she said, "He's sweet, but yeah, not exactly playing in the same league." I just stood there holding my beer while my girlfriend turned me into a joke to entertain her friends. Mira jumped in next. She said, "Honestly, Val, you could do so much better. There are actual successful men in this city. Why are you settling for someone with no ambition?" And instead of shutting that down, Valencia said, "Maybe I should find someone who can actually afford to take me places, someone with real goals." That was the worst part, not the insult, not the money talk. It was the fact that she agreed with them. She was not embarrassed for me, she was embarrassed by me. At this point, what would you have done? Stayed calm, walked out, ended it on the spot. I was close to leaving when the room shifted. People near the entrance suddenly got quiet. I looked over and saw Stellan Briggs walking in with a few people from his team. Stellan was the CEO of one of the biggest tech companies in Seattle. We had been in talks about a partnership for my new platform. He operated at a level most people in that room only talked about reaching. He scanned the space, saw me, smiled, and walked straight over. "There's the genius I've been looking for," he said. "Kieran, perfect timing. Are you ready to change the world again?" The table went silent. Valencia stared at me like she had never met me before. I said, "Hey Stellan, just trying to survive a Christmas party. How are you?" He laughed and launched right in. He said his board had approved the partnership. He said the deal was worth $200 million. He brought up my first company, the $40 million exit, and said investors were calling me one of the most important founders to watch that year. He even mentioned Forbes wanting to talk to me. I remember feeling Valencia's eyes on me the whole time, but I barely looked at her. I just told Stellan we should discuss details later in private. He kept praising the platform for another minute or two, then moved on to speak with other people. The damage was done. The entire mood at that table changed in seconds. Thalia looked stunned. Mira looked like her brain had stopped working. Valencia looked like someone had yanked the floor out from under her. And then, almost instantly, the rewrite began. She grabbed my arm and said, "Oh my God, babe, why didn't you tell me? We were just joking. You know I think you're amazing." Her friends suddenly wanted to hear all about my work, my companies, my vision, my plans. 10 minutes earlier, they were asking why Valencia was settling for me. Now they were acting like I was the most interesting person in the room. That moment told me everything. I had not changed. My face had not changed. My values had not changed. My character had not changed. The only thing that changed was what they thought I could do for them. Respect based on money is not respect, it is strategy. I looked at Valencia and said quietly, "I think I'm going to head home." She looked shocked. "What? No, stay. Everyone wants to meet you now." And that was exactly the problem. Everyone wanted to meet me now. I left without a scene. I took an Uber home and sat in silence most of the ride. Valencia texted me all night, first confused, then angry, then scared. She asked why I left. She accused me of lying to her. Then she said we needed to talk. I did not answer until the next day. When we finally spoke, it felt like I was talking to a different person. Suddenly, she was fascinated by my work. She wanted to know everything about my companies. She kept saying she always knew I was special, always believed in me, always saw potential in me. 3 days earlier, she had joked about finding someone with real goals. That is not a misunderstanding. That is a character reveal. Her friends changed too. Thalia wanted to get coffee and ask about the tech world. Mira wanted to invite us to dinner so she could introduce me to people. Same me. Different perceived value. What bothered me most was the way Valencia tried to rewrite the past. She started telling people she had always supported me. She said she had believed in me from the beginning. When I pushed back, She said I was being too sensitive about harmless teasing. Harmless teasing. That was what she called months of comments about my car, my job, my apartment, my choices. When I asked her how mocking me was supposed to help anything, she said she had just been trying to motivate me to reach my potential. That was the moment I realized she genuinely did not understand the damage she had done. In her mind, the problem was not the contempt. The problem was that she had accidentally aimed it at someone wealthy. A few days later, we had lunch, and she started talking about our future. She said maybe we should move in together. Maybe we should look at condos in Belltown. Maybe now we could start building something real. I asked her one simple question. What is different now? She looked confused. I said, what is different about me now compared to 3 days ago? She talked in circles. Trust, growth, communication, relationships evolving. But she never answered the question, because she could not. Nothing about me had changed. Only the story she told herself about me had changed. And once I saw that clearly, there was no way to unsee it. I spent the next couple of weeks mostly at my own place thinking. I kept turning the whole thing over in my head. I had hidden my wealth because I wanted to find someone who would choose me for who I was. In one sense, the test worked. Valencia failed it. Her friends failed it. But what surprised me was how much it still hurt. Being valued for your money is hollow. Being dismissed when people think you do not have money is worse. Both make you feel less human. Still, not everyone failed. There was a guy from my climbing gym named Riven who heard the story through Seattle tech circles. When he found out, he shrugged and said, "That's cool. Still want to grab pizza after climbing." That meant more to me than he probably knew. Then there was Celestia, the manager at the restaurant where the party happened. After Stellan left that night, she came by the table and quietly checked on me. She said, "You looked pretty uncomfortable during all of that." Rich or not, being put on the spot like that sucks. She did not want anything from me. She was just kind. That matters. Some people look at your value and calculate. Some people look at your face and care. Valencia kept asking to meet and talk through our communication issues. But the more I thought about it, the less I believed we had communication issues at all. We had values issues. She was embarrassed by me when she thought I was ordinary. Then she became possessive when she learned I was wealthy. That is not a communication problem. That is a worldview problem. We tried for about 2 more weeks after the party, mostly because I wanted to be sure I was not acting too fast. But every conversation felt wrong. She kept talking to the successful version of me, not the real one who had been in front of her all along. Then came the final straw. She suggested we throw a housewarming party for my new place. The problem was, I was not moving. I liked my apartment. I liked my old Subaru. I liked my simple life. I had built that life on purpose, but she had already rewritten the future in her head. She had started imagining what a tech founder's girlfriend should look like, where she should live, how she should be seen. When I said I was staying where I was, she looked at me and asked, "Don't you want people to see how successful you are?" That question ended it. Not because it was rude, because it was honest. She was not dating me. She was dating what my success could do for her image, so I ended it. No screaming, no mess, just a clean break. I told her we wanted different things from life, and I did not think therapy or more talking could fix a mismatch that basic. She cried. She said she was confused. She asked if we could still work on it, but some things are not broken, they are just wrong. After the breakup, I watched the social fallout from a distance. Valencia had been using my story as status in her friend group. Once we were over, that status disappeared. The same women who had praised her for landing a secret millionaire went back to their subtle little digs. I did not enjoy that. I actually felt bad for her. No one deserves friends like that. Professionally, life kept moving. The partnership with Stellan's company launched a few months later, and the platform performed better than expected. The Forbes interview happened. It was strange, but fine. Work was good, but the best part of my life had nothing to do with business. For years, I had been volunteering at an elementary school in South Seattle, helping kids with basic computer skills. I started doing it back when I was just another programmer with a little extra time. The kids did not care about exits or investors or press. They cared that I showed up every Tuesday and helped them build things. That is where I met Zara. She was a third-grade teacher. She had worked at the school for 6 years. She grew up nearby, went to college on scholarships, and came back because she wanted to serve the same community that had raised her. When I first started volunteering, she was the one who helped me understand how to connect with 8-year-olds instead of talking at them like tiny adults. After a while, we started getting coffee after volunteer days. We talked about education, technology, funding, burnout, and what kids really need when they do not have support at home. She knew I worked in tech. That was it. She did not know about the money. She did not know about the companies. She just knew I cared, and she cared too. 3 months ago, one of her students mentioned seeing my name in a newspaper article about Seattle entrepreneurs. Later, Zara asked me about it, so I told her the truth. I told her about the startup, the exit, the simple life, and Valencia. She listened, nodded once, and said, "That explains why you understand how to build sustainable programs instead of just throwing money at problems." That was it. No sudden excitement, no weird new interest. No questions about my net worth. No shift in tone, just understanding. That was when I knew she was different. We have been together for 2 months now, and she has never once made me feel like my worth is tied to what I can provide. She has never pushed for nicer dates or a new apartment or a flashier life. When I offered to fund a computer lab for her school, she made sure we talked through exactly how the money would be used, what the goals were, and what the kids actually needed. She loved the same things about me before she knew the full truth as she does now. That I show up, that I listen, that I care, that I stay consistent. That is love with roots. Last month, the school's heating system broke right before winter. The district did not have emergency funds, and the kids were sitting in class wearing coats. I quietly paid for the repairs through a foundation and kept my name out of it. When the principal announced the school had received emergency help, Zara cried in the faculty meeting. Later that night, she told me it was one of the most beautiful things she had ever seen. Not because money fixed a problem, but because someone cared enough to act fast for the kids. I did not tell her it was me. And honestly, watching her react to the kindness itself, not the source of it, meant more to me than any deal I have ever signed. That is the difference I had been trying to name for years. Valencia wanted me to be impressive. Zara values me because I am reliable. The difference is everything. I used to think hiding my wealth was only about protecting myself from people who wanted access to money. But it showed me something deeper than that. It showed me the kind of person I actually want beside me, someone who values consistency over flash. Someone who measures worth by impact, not income. Someone who chooses you when they think you are ordinary, not just when they learn you are exceptional. And maybe that is the real lesson in all of this. If someone is embarrassed by your ordinary life, they will never be safe in your extraordinary one. If someone only sees your worth after status enters the room, they were never really seeing you. And if someone can stand beside you when there is nothing shiny to gain, pay attention. That person is rare. The lessons I took from this are simple. Lesson 1: when a partner lets other people mock you to earn approval, believe what that says about their values. Lesson 2: respect that appears only after money, status, or success is revealed is not real respect. Lesson 3: you cannot build a healthy future with someone who is embarrassed by the version of you they think is ordinary. Lesson 4: the right person will care about how you live, how you treat people, and whether you show up, not how impressive your life looks from the outside. Lesson 5: sometimes the most important test is not whether people love your success. It is whether they honor your simplicity. So now I want to ask you something. At what moment would you have walked away from Valencia? And do you think hiding wealth to test a relationship is fair? Or did Kieran's choice simply reveal what was already there?